Sup, folks? Now I gotta make sure I'm in focus. It is bright as balls. Bright as balls. Well. Oh dear, well. Hey, I never do this. I never make these videos. Like in general, I don't make videos. I like doing live shows. I like having an opinion just like everybody else. I love feeling like that guy loves this thing and he wants to talk about it, and who knows, maybe I'll like their opinion, maybe I won't. Maybe they'll tell me something or inspire me, or maybe they'll be like totally wrong on some superfluous detail on your favorite comic book, cartoons and shows, live action, DC, MCU, Umbrella Academy, The Boys. We got a bunch of stuff. We got a whole heaping load of nerd stuff. I haven't even touched Star Wars, Star Trek. I love it all. What's kind of disconcerting is, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not just one thing. You got your gatekeepers, you got your misinformers, you got your toxic, both masculinity, but also, toxic everything. Everybody wants to dunk on all of these different intellectual properties, and people love to complain. But I think what's more important is that people don't know how to handle disappointment. Disappointment, sucks. I get it. You expect one thing, doesn't do it quite right, get something else. There's definitely a sliding scale between a wealth of things to be disappointed about. Bottled water. Back in my day, you could just drink water right from the hose. Taste the rust and that little bit of lead to make your brain go cuckoo. Now, if it's not Dasani, you can kick rocks. Hit the road. Mountain spring water, really good stuff. You get higher pH water so that microbes grow in your stomach and ruin your gut biome, but because somebody used pseudo-science to dictate that our guts are too acidic, when the normal reason people have heartburn is spicy foods, causing you got complaining for the sake of complaining, because you can, because you're spoiled. I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled rotten, baby, yeah. See, I live in 2022 and I did an Austin Powers reference. Come on. No winners here. No kings. But my point being is, we now have marginalized voices where we could only get, at best, a two-dimensional stereotype to represent all of us. Specifically, I'm going to say Asian American immigrants. It's a very other and them normally when depicted in media from the 80s. Like a Robin Williams putting on the handkerchief over his head. Oh yes, babushka, like stuff like that. That type of New York immigrant. I love Robin Williams, but that's what comes to my mind. Sick, tired, hungry, huddled masses yearning to be free. And some of that stereotype has a bit of truth in it. Because desperate people leaving destabilized nations totally need to relocate or they just die. Then you have us, the children of those immigrants. And how do we deal with our parents? And I say deal because what's the deal? No, I say it because it's definitely challenging. We're raised in one society. We're shown the norms of America. And when we get home, all that TV family stuff isn't the same. Like everything is so compartmentalized as far as the American experience. And anytime you get to see just a sliver of truth of what you're experiencing, that seems niche, that other people don't know about, it it feels great. It feels great. It's like someone validated your existence and your truth and your story, because you just feel like you're living this unexplainable, hard way of articulating your day to day. I'm not from California. I am a native to Indiana, where my closest friends, they actually, they don't mind. I have some friends that are very ADHD, so they do mind, and it is what it is. But yeah, they get it. They get it. And to as I grew and matured as a person, I would always look for other people's stories and just find something, their experience that resonated with me. And a lot of us refugee kids, we talk about getting that phone call and hearing our parents introduce us to a relative. We're never going to remember their name because we just don't have that connection. And back then it was long distance phone calls. So you had minutes to meet somebody that's very close to your parents, but they're just overseas or somewhere else. And I would, I'd hear their stories, or I'd watch 60 Minutes or PBS stuff or History Channel, and I would see like genocide and the victims of genocide and the survivors of genocide, and that I could observe that in my parents. And I don't know, like I just had to learn how to bridge the divide so that I could just find more like people. A lot of people say people suck. No. People don't actually suck. If you can adapt just a little bit, or if you can wait and be patient and then figure out whether this person, has the potential to broaden the horizons, be more inclusive, the capacity to enjoy life and share it with other people without denying some sort of access to other people, that's kind of like what I learned to do, because I can't change the way I look, and oftentimes I'm always confronted with the identity of being Asian, which I want to say 8 times out of 10, every person that has asked me my nationality has not known diddly squat about my personality. They always just make like a broad stereotype to be nice to me or whatever. And it's like, I don't operate that way. I don't know. Maybe it's just how I remember people. But like I can't stereotype. I've met too many people. I've become too nuanced. And the people I've met are exceptional. They're the best at what they do in their field, or they're friendly, or I listen to their story and their background, and it makes sense to me. And I can't believe I did this long story, but this is really about Miss Marvel. It is a fantastic show for a lot of different groups, and you don't have to be a teenaged girl, South Asian nationality, because at the end of the day, like, she speaks English, she has parents. I know not everyone has parents, but a lot of us have parents. We all have things about our family that are neat or, hard. And I'm seeing this pushback on not just Twitter, but just like everywhere. People making memes about how cringe it is. And like, it's not. Or if it is cringe, it's the same amount of cringe as Spider-Man Far From Home or Malcolm in the Middle, which for me was very cringe. Oh boy. I think what made me cringe was just the shock of like, oh, that's like a real house. It's a real messy house. That's what us kids make houses look like. And I don't know. It was kind of like watching Roseanne. Like, oh wow, these people have that like gross furry couch with the plaid ones that looked like they were caked in cigarette smoke. Looked like. I don't think the Connors actually smoked, but I don't know. Dan the character might have. But people are calling it cringe. People are saying it's a teen show. Like it's marketed towards teens, which it's almost like it's trying to obfuscate the fact that this is a show that is from a comic book, and this show has a comic book that is writing from a place of experience. It's creating characters that are likable, different, and it's just, it's kind of beyond me that all these people claiming that it's this over contrived creation is like some marketing ploy. And that's not speaking volumes about the content, that's speaking volumes about the viewer. When I think of something that is kind of soulless, non art, that's just made for the masses, there's a lot of contenders for that. Normally, like some action movie where there's a male power fantasy, or a horrendously offensive, like lowest hanging fruit CBS sitcom that those same people criticizing Miss Marvel will defend to the death. I'm not gonna name names, but you know what I'm talking about. Like some garbage comedy. And I'm gonna call it garbage. Cause like, look, I used to eat junk food on the reg. And in the end it made me feel sick. And, you know, I'm the same way with like my media. Shows, movies. It can be nutritional, make you think, expand your horizons, find new areas, explore, make you interested so that you're not sitting in a deep well of depression. Not myself. I'm wildly curious about a bunch of stuff. ADHD helps, but I don't know, stuff is cool. Listening to people's stories is cool. Learning about history. You can go far back as much as you can imagine the future. You just need to interview more people, ask questions, learn about the history of your town, your neighbor, but most of all, history. Like, history matters. And Kamala's learning that in these episodes. Spoilers. She's learning about her aunt. And tonight is going to be the final episode. And for the series, look, I get it that the Marvel shows with these 6-episode runs, some of them are fit better. Miss Marvel kind of shows a certain normalcy to the routine of being a Muslim in New Jersey. And you don't see that enough. Or it comes off as like a TGIF, like after school special, where the characters are just written kind of gearing towards that kind of like sort of, it feels campy. This one doesn't. They have dinner together. Like, I don't know. It just, why is our society so thirsty to go back to the 2000s of superheroes, where everyone was ashamed to wear a cape, or everyone had to have leather and armor and guns, or you needed to have some guy just dominating these poor henchmen. Like, sometimes it's just nice to see like a functioning family, a stable household, or a different story than something too sappy. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm getting older. That could be probably part of it. But like, I've been to the edge of like edgeness. I've read Garth Ennis comics. I've uh, I've read a lot of like the darker DC stuff, where it's like a lot of just villain worship. Don't get me wrong, the villains are super cool, but I think there's also a cool factor to the villains that are kind of campy and dumb, like Flash's Rogues Gallery. I think they're great. They're kind of hilarious because they really shouldn't be able to beat the Flash, but hey, whatever. Speaking of action movies, there's a movie called Extraction where you have Chris Hemsworth trying to extract like a very high priority target, a kid who is like the son of a very rich family. He's being ransomed. And then you see another guy come in and you're like, oh, what's his deal? Turns out, by the way, spoilers for Extraction. Turns out they're both just trying to save the kid. And you get to see like the city. So it's been a while since I've seen it, but I like seeing that. I like exploring, going somewhere else. I like that Marvel isn't just doing pyramids when they go to Egypt for Moon Knight. They're actually showing like people eating dinner outside, outside their homes. Yeah, I like in the movie Creed where you do see Philly as it's dirty. There's a crowded Philly cheesesteak spot, and Michael B. Jordan and Tessa Thompson are just trying to order the food, and it feels real. It doesn't feel like fake. And that's all I want, is something genuine. So, I don't know. To make a long story short, I can't, because here's the thing. Well, I tell you to grow up, you're not growing up. Some of you have already dug your heels. Some of you haven't even made it to the end of this video. I don't know what to tell you. There's just a lot to enjoy. And if the movie doesn't follow the comic book to a T, you still have the comic book. If something isn't canon and you don't like part of a trilogy or something, and that ruins it for you, wait till you like live life. It's so much disappointment. Like, the mark of maturity is how you handle it. How do you handle disappointment? Do you flip the table? Do you build a following? Or do you let guys manipulate you? Because anger is a very powerful emotion. You feel powerful, like strong. You feel like the Juggernaut. You feel like the Hulk. But you hurt a lot of people in your wake. And you know what? You don't look so good yourself when you trash, vulnerable people. And real people get hurt. Like, and by the way, the mark of a person that's an abuser is a person that denies someone else's in suffering, especially if it's directly a victim of their abuse or something that coincides with what they do. So like, there's a lot of Asian hate crimes, and people are trying to point fingers to make sure that, hey guys, the people that are committing it aren't all white. And I'm like, wow, we just want elderly Asian people to not get, kicked in, their faces kicked in while walking home from church. Is that so much to ask? But if you want to bring race into it, like, again, you have to, because they're trying to confuse you. Don't move the goalposts. No, the focus is harm reduction. Number one, first and foremost. A lot of people will claim that's not legitimate. like it's made up. We have video. There are receipts. A guy had a flare pushed into his face. And that's because of otherism, Orientalism, like making someone a foreign invader. Just like what they're doing with the immigrants. They're just trying to find a new spot. And sadly, we just can't care enough. We can't care enough. Even the fact that like those people normally get exploited. Like, I don't know. Don't grow up. Don't get informed. Be ignorant. Play Fortnite. Ignore your significant other. If you don't have kids, then backseat drive and tell what other people should do with their kids. And if you do have kids, keep having kids so that, way past what's responsible. And then once you do that, make sure your parents take care of them. And then that's as much bad advice as I'm willing to give you. Oh, good gravy. Good gravy. But yeah, that's how I feel about Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is, I don't know, it's like one of my favorite shows. And I just wish, I don't know how to market a 16-year-old girl who discovers her, like she has a secret power, which forces her to go back in time to meet her not ancestors, but like her relatives, to have that kind of like experience of going back to where your parents, roots are, learning about like the sad history behind partition. What is it called? The Great Divide between Pakistan and India. Yeah, the parents really try hard too. They try to connect with their daughter and they don't. It's like that's like a super relatable thing for a lot of kids. We're just like, Mom, Dad, that's not cool. I know you're offended when I reject your. The show brings a smile to my face because it's just, why do you have to be mean about something that's not mean? People right now, the trolls, they love The Boys. They love it. And there's a part of me that believes that they would love the comic because it's really mean. It's very gross. It claims to be satirical, but I think there's more of a stunt going on in making it the absolute worst, to push the envelope as far as it can go. Like, so taboo for mainstream. Hell, taboo for like Punisher, Max comics, like, and War Machine had a Max comic too. They were pretty grisly. I'm probably not gonna release this.